Welcome everyone to our episode 122 of our podcast. In today's episode, we are going to talk about a lifestyle option that you have and something that it's going to not only help you to regulate your metabolism, but also to boost the energy for your brain and to obtain the benefits of protecting your neurons, regenerating more, and creating new pathways through neuroplasticity. So, all of those things we are going to review today. We are going to also see how this lifestyle change is going to help you to um, start being more focus on the things that you are doing, start having an easier time to learn things, and also to remember more and to protect you against neurodegenerative diseases. So, what am I going to talk today about is how fasting heals and protects your brain. That's the topic of today's episode. And to talk about that, you know that I'm always trying to have as resources scientific journals, not just things that I watch on the web or things that I can speak without reviewing, without preparing. And I think it's the responsibility of all of us that speak in these platforms to really have first the background to speak about the things. Second, to read and to research about what we are going to discuss and not just talk about trends or not just use trending things that also damage the credibility of some science things to just gain clicks or to start doing things that are not really going to help people. So without that in place, let's go for the topic. To talk about this topic, I used two articles, very recent articles. The first one is from Brocky A et al. And effects of intermittent fasting on brain metabolism. This is from 2022. Is and the other article that I use is Elias A et al. And is effects of intermittent fasting on cognitive health and Alzheimer disease. Both articles, as you can see, are very recent, and this is extremely important information to consider trying out this lifestyle change. So, without this, let's go for the topic. Did you know that fasting isn't just about skipping meals, isn't just about losing weight, isn't just one more diet? In fact, it is not a diet, it is a lifestyle choice. It's a powerful process also that triggers the production of ketone bodies in your in the metabolism, which play a crucial role in protecting our brains, in giving them energy to really start creating the health, the memory, the learning process that we really need, protecting it. Studies have shown that these ketone bodies can shield you against the toxic effects of one of the most toxic proteins produced, beta-amyloid, which is a major player in Alzheimer disease development. So, the next time that you fast, remember that you are not just giving your body a break, but you are also giving your brain a boost in terms of energy, in terms of protection, in terms of neural pathways, in terms of neuroplasticity, in terms of attention and cognition. So we have a lot of things to discuss today. So let's go by facts. I will give you 10 facts about this protection of fasting for the brain. Fact number one, fasting boosts brain function. Fasting triggers the production of ketone bodies, as I mentioned, protecting against toxic beta-amyloid protein, the buildup of this, that is linked to the initiation of the disease of Alzheimer, and promoting also these ketone bodies promote neuroplasticity for an enhanced cognitive function. So that's what we know about the protection and the things that can be done for your brain and how it protects about this kind of accumulation for the protein of beta amyloid, which is extremely important that we protect our brains through this damage. So now, what else can we start understanding about this lifestyle of fasting? Well, as I mentioned, our brain consumes a lot of energy. As you can see here in the image, our brain is just almost 2% of the mass of our total body, but it consumes more than 21% of the energy, of the total energy of your body is consumed by your brain. So that's a lot of energy so that you can really enjoy the benefits of having the thought process, the memory, the learning, the experience with your senses, because through your senses you perceive, but through your brain you interpret all of the phenomena that you are witnessing. That's why it is extremely important to really protect our brains and to understand that they need a lot of energy and they need an alternative fuel, which can be these ketone bodies. What else? Fact number 2 is metabolic benefits of fasting. What is fasting doing for your metabolism? Intermittent fasting, in particular, which is all of the facts that I'm going to discuss today, is there are types of this intermittent fasting where you can have windows of fasting from 14 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, and the windows of eating from 6 hours, 8, 10 hours. All of those are the modalities that you can start applying the fasting program to your life. So intermittent fasting regulates insulin levels, enhances insulin sensitivity, and promotes the breakdown of glucose and fatty acids for energy, leading to better blood sugar control and also increase fat burning. Yes, you heard correctly. You are helping your metabolism by, in the period of fasting, to start using all of the glucose that can be in your blood and really making, depleting the levels of blood glucose, and also start activating this process of lipogenesis. When your body detects that there is not enough glucose, it will start activating a signal through your metabolisms, through chemical messages that are going to activate another pathway, which is the pathway of destroying the fatty acids and using all of the adipose tissue to start creating these ketone bodies. And also, you are going to start using more of the energy for the muscles. You also can use the energy for your muscles. You also can use the energy for the things that you can start doing and the things that you can start, well, just giving more advanced stages of um, reutilizing all of the visceral fat and start activating your metabolism in order to use all of these fatty acids that you can have stored. What else? Um, we are going to go for the fact number 3. Fasting promotes cellular repair. What is this? What is cellular repair? Well, we know that many of the cells have a life cycle. When this life cycle starts approaching to the end and cells are no longer functional, they suffer a process called autophagy. That is a process that destroys, has a signal of apoptosis inside of these cells, a signal that knows when this cell has reached the final point, and through this signal, these cells are going to suffer this self-destruction process. And by this self-destruction or autophagy process, these cells are going to donate many of the resources, many of the proteins and things that can still be used, that can still be recycled in order to generate new cells. So your body is just an amazing machine that you really need to start appreciating, because this recycling of the old cells that are called also zombie cells, because they are just no longer able to do all of this process of communication, of giving you the best energy and resources for all of the functions that they have to process. Now they know that they have completed a cycle, and they start activating these signals. And by activating these signals, by having more consciousness in the things that they have to start doing, they recycle, they donate many of the components of the structures that can still be used in order to create new cells. And this process cleans out the damaged cells and promotes the regeneration of healthy new cells, leading to improved cellular function, and potentially this is anti-aging effects. That's why through this lifestyle of intermittent fasting, you can also increase the longevity of your body. Fact number 4. What is the impact on attention and cognition? And not only that, also on diseases. Well, we know, and we also review, that your brain, whenever it is in this state of fasting, it starts promoting the signaling of these orexigenic hormones, which are going to help your brain to notice when you are satiated, when you already consume enough food to be really satisfied, and really the technical word is satiated, when you already should be good in terms of the food that you ingest and in terms of the things that you need, the nutrients that you need. When you are not having a good regulation of these hormones, what happens is that you don't know when to stop, and you keep eating, and you keep disrupting these cycles. Also, it helps to start lowering the reproduction of toxic signals, the reproductive function of toxic signals that start this dysregulation of hormones, and then affecting the ones that are related to society. It also increases the pathways where stress can be released, where stress can be dispersed, let's say, and where stress can have more gateways to uh, just allow the energy to flow. What else? We mentioned at the beginning that it protects, fasting protects and increases the cognitive capacity. By increasing this cognitive capacity, it also helps to the um, to avoid the buildup of beta-amyloid protein, and in that way, it helps for the Alzheimer disease. What else? Increases cognition by lowering excitotoxic stress. What is this? The stress that is outside of your cells, the stress that is in the environment, and it helps to also lower that kind of stress. Why? Because, as we mentioned before, and you can see in the image here, it creates more stress pathways. So by creating these pathways for stress, it releases this excitotoxic stress from your cells, from the surrounding of your cells. It helps and up-regulates the neurogenesis, increases neurogenesis, that's creating more neurons, increases brain plasticity, which is the creation of new neural pathways, the allowance of your brain to start being more creative, more curious, asking better questions, and not conforming to the information that you can receive just from media or from these so-called experts, influencers that many times just speak without really researching what they are going to talk about. So it increases also, it helps to boost your learning experience and your memory. And finally, what else I can tell you about this is that it helps in Parkinson's disease. It helps for upregulate, increase the mitochondrial function. It lowers the oxidative imbalance. It helps, as we mentioned, to increase the autophagy process, and it increases motor function. That's why it helps in Parkinson's disease, because it increases motor function, and Parkinson's is related to the motor movement that is regulated by your brain. So, what is the impact on attention and cognition? This is very important because it creates a molecule that will help you to have more attention. And this BDNF, that is the molecule that will help you to create more, to create this experience of having more, more, let's say, this is one of the papers that I use to start reviewing that, but we are going to discuss about this BDNF. What is this BDNF? This is the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and this factor is going to help you to increase the protection of your neurons. It will help you to increase the regeneration of more neurons. It will also help you to start giving your brain a break in terms of these new neural pathways, where you can start really doing the job that they they need. So this BDNF is an extremely important substance that is going to be created, upregulated by fasting. Fact number 5, you need to start reevaluating the patterns of how you process your food, how you eat, how much time do you have in order to really savor your food, to start consuming your food in a more conscious way, where you allow the salivation process, where you allow the visual contact with your food, where you start creating these signals of all the feeding or eating pattern experience. And by doing that, you will allow to also start priming your gut for the production of these hormones that are going to signal your brain, so that when you start eating, they really notice when your food has been enough, and they send the signal to the brain so that you can rest, so that you can say, enough of food, that's all I need, and have a really good experience and not really keep overeating or binging. So that's why it will help you. So you really need to start functioning into these eating habits. And not fasting doesn't mean that you really are not going to eat anything. You have those windows of opportunity where you are going to have this structure, and the lack of daily structure is what starts creating this. The lack of time and being stressed when you eat is what happens when you start disrupting these patterns of eating. So physical hunger, detecting this mindful eating, which is the process of visualizing the food, watching the food, allowing the experience of salivation, and allowing the experience of producing or priming your gut to be receptive of the signals when food enters your body, and to send the signals to your brain so that you can really realize that you are consuming the nutrients and the food that you need. So all of this process is, when it is disrupted, is what leads you to binge eating. And also recognizing when you have emotional hunger. Emotional hunger is an extremely common thing that happens during anxiety, and some people, when they are depressed, when they are sad, they also eat. Some have the opposite effect. They don't have they are not hungry, and they skip meals. Also, skipping these meals is not good. Fasting is not about skipping meals. Fasting is about synchronizing your body to the um, to the attunement with your gut, with the digestion process, with the duration of the digestion process, and to really allow your body to sense the food, to savor the food, and to integrate the food into your body. When you are under emotional signals, well, you are just looking for reward, looking for excuses to cope with emotional problems. And also, when you are having conformity motives, being in the comfort zone and just allowing these kind, like in many movies you have seen the scenes where usually it is a woman that is depicted that, of course it can be whatever, a man or a woman. So women, when they are depressed in these movies, they show them as comforting themselves by binging ice cream, for example, which is full of sugar and fat. So What are you going to do with that? You are not eating because you are hungry. You are just using food as your comfort choice. So by doing that, you create these cravings, and then you dysregulate your whole circadian rhythms, which are your internal clocks, and you don't sleep well. So it has many implications. Of course, I'm going to discuss that in more detail in another episode where we talk about these internal clocks, which is going to be also very interesting so that you understand these disruptions. But this is another thing that fasting and having a structure in your fasting helps you. What else? Fact number 6 is regulation of brain's energy source. And here we will have a star molecule, let's say, or let's call it like that, and it's the BHB. During fasting, the brain will switch the energy source from glucose because it already consumed all the glucose, it already regulated the blood glucose levels. So your body starts sending signals: I need more energy. Where can you give me more energy? So it starts giving these signals, these chemical messages, and your body understands, well, I have a lot of fat in in spite of you being overweight or in spite of having obesity, your body is going to use the extra fat that you can have and use that fat, metabolize that fat, degrade that fat, destroy the molecules because they are longer carbon molecules that can be used to produce these ketone bodies. So one of these ketone bodies that is extremely good is beta hydroxybutyrate, or BHB. And this molecule can cross the blood-brain barrier and can help you and provide fuel for optimal brain function. So when your body starts sensing this glucose hypometabolism that you already don't have glucose, it starts saying, I have an energy deficiency. Please give me an alternative source. And by giving this signal, your metabolism is going to degrade the fat and start producing this BHP. This BHP, in addition to protect you against neurodegeneration, it will help you to inhibit these arrows that are here, where this line is represents, instead of having an arrow, and it is just a line with an horizontal signal, let's say, represents inhibition. So it will inhibit the oxidative stress and the neuroinflammation. And you know that inflammation is the source of pretty much 90 or more than 90% of all your chronic diseases. And it also inhibits mitochondrial dysfunction. So by inhibiting the dysfunction of the mitochondria, it helps and it boosts the function of the healthy mitochondria and protects the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is your energy powerhouse. So you will produce more ATP with more mitochondria. You will also give more oxygen processes to your brain, and you will start helping your oxygen pathways to allow this process of ketone body production so that your brain starts having the energy that it needs. Fact number 7, fasting, in addition to all of these benefits that we have seen, also helps you to regulate your hormones, increases the production of human growth hormone, or HGH, which plays a role in neuroprotection and anti-aging effects, supporting cognitive function and overall brain health. So what is doing the brain in this process? Well, growth hormone activity is more when you are younger, and uh, it protects the brain, it protects bones and muscles, and it gives you the signals also for the adipose tissue to start uh, giving energy, or um, start this process of lipolysis, which is the degradation of fats to produce these ketone bodies. And in the brain, what it's doing is that is going to be the prolonged fasting is going to activate the neurons in the hypothalamus to induce that induce hunger, to reduce the energy expenditure. So you become like a hybrid in terms of understanding better the analogy. So when you don't have too much glucose, your body senses that the your blood glucose is not enough. It sends the signals for the production of this ketone body. It increases the HGH production, the hormone growth production, and your brain senses that. When your brain senses that there is more growth hormone, it will also send a signal in the hypothalamus so that it reduces hunger, and it reduces the energy expenditure. So you induce hunger and you reduce energy expenditure. I think I switched the words, but correcting this is inducing hunger and reducing energy expenditure. So all of those things are going to happen when you start helping in the production of this human growth hormone. Also, we know that as we are aging, as we pass the threshold, let's say, of 30, 40 years old, human growth hormone starts decreasing. It's not as when you were 10, 5, 15, 20, 25. You don't, in terms of development growth, you don't need too much human growth hormone, and your body starts regulating the quantity, but it goes down. So when you upregulate the production of this human growth hormone under this condition of fasting, what you are doing is that you are also repairing your cells, because you are not no longer in the need of growth and development, but you are in need of protection and recovery of your cells, which also is linked to the activation of the autophagy process. So that's what you are doing. You are becoming a hybrid model when you are fasting. What else? Fact number 8. Fasting has an impact on mood and well-being. And this is what they have seen in terms of one of the most important hormones to regulate your hunger signals, which is ghrelin. So fasting may influence mood and cognition differently in individuals with major depression disorder, major depressive disorder, potentially worsening somatic symptoms in some cases, highlighting the importance of personalized approach to fasting. But what they have seen is not the worsening of these somatic symptoms. What happens is that your body is regulating the production of ghrelin, and when you are having these periods of depression, fasting helps to regulate this ghrelin hormone, and this signal, what is going to do is that is going to allow you to uh, complement and help regulate other hormones like serotonin, like dopamine, and all of these uh, indirect effect of these hormones are going to help you to have a better mood state, and your brain is no longer gonna be let's say congested with too much toxic food, which is sugar and processed fats, and it's going to deplete all of these zombie cells, all of these cells that have to pass this process of autophagy. And by doing that, you are going to release many pathways, energy. You are going to increase this BDNF. That is going to send signals, indirect signals to increase serotonin, to increase dopamine, and that is going to help you to have a much better state. So, in the cases that fasting has been linked to produce toxic, let's say toxic or worsening somatic symptoms, is sometimes in women, and that is just in the first window of their period. So that's why if you are a woman, you have to regulate the fasting periods with your hormonal or menstrual cycle. That's something that you also need to take into account. But women can fast very safely. You just have to really be supported by an expert in order to really implement your fasting in a much better way, and so that you don't have a lack of energy. So, fact number 9, cognitive benefits beyond weight loss. Intermittent fasting, as we mentioned, improves cognitive performance, reduces beta-amyloid production, and increases the plasticity of many of your synaptic plasticity, enhancing cognition, enhancing attention, and also giving you really good protection in terms of all of the things that you you need to create a much more homeostatic state. And we have seen this with many of the processes that are mimicking the the fasting mimicking diet, which you can see in the image. And in these terms, what it does, this fasting mimicking diet, is increase the quantity of fat, the quantity of protein, and reducing a little bit the carbohydrate ratio in terms of the simple carbohydrates, which are the more toxic. The other ones are going to keep being allowed. So what they have seen is that when they test this fast mimicking diet, when they start doing these fastings of intermittent hours, 14, 16, or 18 hours, what happens is that the inhibition of inflammation of the brain, as we mentioned, allows the Alzheimer disease pathology to be reduced, and it decreases the accumulation of beta-amyloid protein. So it also increases a lot of compounds that are going to protect against neural damage, as we see in this image. I hope that you can still distinguish the names. You produce more nitric oxide, and this nitric oxide produces a superoxide production of an enzyme that protects your neurons. This nitric oxide also, it's going to help to prevent this oxidation processes by sequestering the radicals, the free radicals. What else? By not allowing neuroinflammation and by not allowing the accumulation of beta-amyloid protein, you will also help in cognitive decline. And in terms of the experiments in mice, what they have observed, and I'm sure that right now we already have uh, these testing trials with humans. It activates the microglia and the macrophages in the microglia, and it allows the protection of your neurons. It allows the production of more neural pathways, as we already mentioned as well. So all of these things are going to help you for the health of your brain. And finally, it will help you in the protection of neurodegenerative diseases. As we mentioned, it helps you in brain-related disorders such as epilepsy, Alzheimer, multiple sclerosis, promoting neuroplasticity, reducing neuroinflammation, and enhancing cognitive function and your attention process. So, what else do you want? You have at least, this is a summary of the benefits, but you have plenty of benefits to really remember that fasting is not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's the way your body works better in terms of having much more time to process the food, to digest the food, and to help you in order to increase the production of many molecules that are neuroprotective and regulate the production of hormones that are helping you in terms of your society. And it also gives you a structure, and it gives your digestion process the right time to process all of the food, to absorb the food, and to be more attuned to the signals that you need in order to feel satiated. So I hope that all of these messages, all of these, let's say, masterclass on intermittent fasting and the brain health helps you to remember that it is not a diet, that it is a lifestyle choice, and it's the best thing that your body can start being more synchronized with your cells, synchronized with the messaging, synchronized with your body sensations, and allowing you to have much better brain health. Thank you for being here. Thank you for paying attention. I hope that this video really have ignited your brain and helps you to understand that you can live another type of life if you start integrating this process slowly. Now, one thing that I missed and that I just remember now is how to start this intermittent fasting process. What I recommend is that you start doing it by increments of 30 minutes. Either you have a later dinner or you have an earlier breakfast. I mean, a later breakfast. You start having breakfast, let's say your usual time is 8 o'clock. Well, you move your breakfast to 8:30. Or you have dinner at 6:30, 7 p.m. Well, you start having dinner at 6 or 5:30 p.m. That's the choices that you can have. And by incrementing 30 minutes every 2 weeks, you allow your body to start having more time to adopt a new lifestyle situation in terms of the food, to regulate your cravings, And believe me, that you will not have cravings for anything. In spite of being with people that are constantly eating, you won't be primed because your body already has this synchronization of your signals. If you do it slowly, you are not rushed by anything or by anyone. You have to give your body time to adapt to this process. That's what worked for me. And that's what I think it will work in terms of the biochemistry and the messaging. So help your body to adopt this new lifestyle and just go in increments of half an hour. So if you move from your dinner 30 minutes earlier or your breakfast 30 minutes later, in the next 2 weeks, you increase to 1 hour. In the next 2 weeks, you increase to 1 hour and a half. In the next 2 weeks, you increase to 2 hours until you arrive to a window of 14 hours. And in 14 hours, you can stay 2 months or 1 month. And then you go one more hour, 15 hours, then you want you go one more hour, 16 hours. And in a process of probably 6 months or 3 months, depending on the speed that you want, you will be in 16 or 18 hours of fasting in less than 6 months. And you will start noticing the effects in the first month or month and a half. You will really start noticing that your brain works so much better and that you don't have cravings and that you don't really need too much food. And you start also noticing your weight. And what I will recommend you if you really want to lower or be more attuned in terms of your weight, don't use the scale. Don't wait and don't notice too much the number of pounds or kilograms that you are losing. Notice more what is happening with your body. Notice more how you see your body different, how clothes start fitting, how you start being more loose in your clothes, and how you look. Notice all of these things because that's what is going to give you the boost in the rewarding system of dopamine, and that's what is going to motivate you to continue in this lifestyle. Thank you very much for your attention. I really appreciate your time here, and I also will appreciate more if you give me if you share this video, of course, if you subscribe to my channel, and if you start giving me suggestions, new topics that you want me to discuss, or things that you have questions about. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and we will listen to each other on our next episode. Bye.